Benvenuti amici and welcome to Life is Grape in Tuscany, where we uncork the rich traditions, delicious wines, and timeless dishes of this beautiful Italian region. I'm Rebecca Christofferson Goutennoir, your wine-centric guide through the vineyards, olive groves, cheese caves, and so much more. So whether you are living in Tuscany, coming to visit, or just have Tuscany in your heart, this podcast is aimed at you. Welcome back to Life is Grape in Tuscany, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories of people living a life a little slower, a little closer to the land, and a whole lot more intentionally. Today's guest is Valentina, co-owner of Podere Le Fornaci, a small, soulful farm tucked into the hills of Greve in Chianti. While most farms in the region lean into the vineyards, Valentina and her husband took a different path, one lined with goats, milk, and the art of cheesemaking. In this episode, we'll talk about how they left city life behind to raise animals and a family in harmony with nature. We'll explore the magic of goat's milk cheese, the quiet challenges and big joys of small-scale farming, and what it means to live a truly rooted life in modern Tuscany. So grab a glass of something good and maybe a slice of something creamy or aged, and join me as we step into the world of Podere Le Fornaci. Buongiorno, Valentina, and welcome to the show.
Buongiorno.
Valentina, could you tell our listeners about yours and your husband's story of how you ended up goat farming and cheesemaking at Podere Le Fornaci?
Okay, well, I'm not sure about what happened for real because it happened very, very fast. I can tell you that I was looking for maybe something different for my life. I was 28 at that time, and I can tell you also that I'm a city girl, so I didn't know anything about this life. So I decided to try to live my old life and looking for something different. And I started as a volunteer. I don't know if you know about the WWOOFing experience, Worldwide Opportunity in Organic Farming.
I know it, but I don't think all of our listeners do. Could you explain what that means?
Oh, it's a beautiful international platform. Basically, you can subscribe and you can get in contact with smaller organic farms all around the world. And you can share with the farmers knowledges and work. So you give help and they give you back food and a house and especially the experience. So this is Milo.
This is Milo. Milo, how old is Milo?
Milo is 6 months almost.
He's
the last new arrival in Podere Le Fornaci.
Yeah, the future generation.
The future generation. So
what kind of background do you have? What did you study, if you did, and what was it that you left behind? Where were you?
I originally come from Trento. It's a small town in the north, and I'm graduated in political science.
Oh.
I should be a political scientist. And I also studied international cooperation, and I spent all my life studying about human studies. I was working with, I lived abroad, and I was working with asylum seekers and refugees when I went back to my born town. And then I was looking for something different. I was kind of bored about human studies, and I don't want to say humanity, it's not about that, but it's about how we manage the immigration flow. And I have some problems about that. So I said, okay, let's looking for something different. I was feeling too much dependent maybe from my salary. I don't trust so much in the economical situation in this moment, in this economical system. And so I was looking a way for living without spending so much money at the end of the month. So I thought that maybe producing part of the food I need would allow me to have a better quality of life and need less money at the end.
Was this transition difficult in the beginning, or was it more like liberating, actually?
It was super difficult because when I started in Podere Le Fornaci, I didn't know anything about, and my view of the countryside life was much more romantic and bucolical because I had no experience at all. And I didn't even know which kind of vegetable you can find in the vegetable garden during the season, and I didn't know how to make a fire. Absolutely, I didn't know how to let a goats give birds, or how to make cheese, or how to make the hay, or anything like that. And so I just jumped in this adventure with my partner Nicolò, and I soon discovered that the amount of work and the amount of skills I absolutely didn't have was huge. So I started to feel guilty because the goats were not feeling fine the first season, and that was because I had no experience about. And they were getting sick, and I was feeling so bad, so I started to wake up very, very early in the morning and working 15 hours every day, and spend part of the night crying and drinking Chianti Classico red wine and studying a lot, and spending hours talking with veterinaries and other breeders and traveling in France, and that was where everything started. So it was very hard.
Yeah. You started out having many more goats than you do now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how many have you got now, and what does your daily life look like now? What's your rhythm?
Mm-hmm. When I started, we were 5 partners with 112 goats.
100?
So 100, yes.
Wow.
And we were also 5 people working, and it was a different historical moment, I can tell you. If you have a small business activity in the countryside, at least, a small farm.
This was when?
It was in end of 2016.
Okay.
But Podere Le Fornaci born in 2000. So it's 25 years that there is this business activity. If we can talk about business, I'm not sure about. By the way, with my partner Nicolò, we started to reduce the economical waste while we were studying how to manage the business activity and the correct way for breed and make cheese and take care of the customer, because you have to explain to the people why your cheese is more expensive, but it's something different from, I mean, it's real food and there is no exploitation behind. And you also have to take care of the huge amount of bureaucracy, unfortunately, we have in Italy. Without the possibility to have any employers, because it's too much expensive. So with a huge amount of labor force, can we say it?
Yeah.
In English, see? So we discovered that was not sustainable. There was a big amount of self-exploitation, and when you pay the rent, because we are renting the place, when you pay everything, at the end of the season, you don't have a proper salary. I'm not talking about a big amount of money, but just the minimum for live. Because when you put a step out from this farm, the life is still very expensive.
Yeah.
So we decided to link our past experience, our first identity, with our second one, with our second life. And as far as I became a farmer, I became a breeder, but I was a citizen with no knowledges, I decided to try to become a sort of bridge between the countryside and the city, trying to show and teach and explain to the guests, it doesn't matter if they are international or very local, what does it mean having a small farms, organic, respecting the animal rights and the land rights and the people rights nowadays, and offering meanwhile our products.
Yeah.
That's why in 2023, only me and Nicolò, we decided to continue this journey, and we reduced dramatically the number of goats from 60 to around 15. I think the maximum goats I'm going to have in the future is going to be 20, 25 maximum.
Yeah.
Also because we are in Chianti.
Yeah.
So it's not really the most famous place in the world for the goats.
Yeah.
And then we rised up in the same way, in the same time, the activity with the tourists.
Yeah.
And also rising the amount of crops we have. So we planted 95 olive trees, and we have a bigger vegetable garden We are going to plant 10 fruit trees soon and a little chicken yard, and we try to produce more food as possible in the farm. And
So having like a more complete farm with everything you need, first of all, and maybe something in excess that you can sell and use perhaps farm to table.
Exactly. The goal nowadays is showing to the people that it's possible to have a delicious meal, knowing exactly where all the food comes from, and without spending a huge amount of money, because it's possible. It's a choice.
Yeah. So my next question that I'd written down perhaps is superfluous now, but I was going to ask you why goat's milk cheese. But of course you found the goat already here. In Tuscany, we have more pecorini, so more sheep's milk cheeses, and that does make you stand out, but I guess you don't have as many
Competitors.
Yeah, competitors, but also other cheesemakers to talk to about your problems or challenges. Anyway, I loved when I was here about a month ago with a group from Grape Tours, and we got to assist you, actually assist you, which was wonderful. The group absolutely loved the whole process. We went to see the finishing of the milking with Niccolò, and then we went down to the cheese making lab, and we saw you actually make the cheese. Would you mind, for those of our listeners who don't have the chance to be here right now, perhaps in the future they will, but could you walk us through the steps of what it takes to make goat cheese? Goat's milk is quite particular, right?
The goat's milk, that is actually almost the only milk I learned to work. I know that it's very delicate, and it's something that I appreciate so much, because it's definitely in contrast with the attitude of the goats. They can be so rude, so strong, so stubborn, and they produce this super light and super delicate kind of milk. It is one of the most similar with the human's one. The fat molecule size is definitely smaller, that's why it's more digestible for us. And so we cannot do everything we can make with the cow's one. Like, we cannot scratch the curds, we cannot make mozzarella. There is somebody who is making even with the goat milk, but it's pretty complicated. But on the other side, there is a strong acidification attitude, and so we can make this super delicate French, typically French goat cheese, no? Like what we call lattica cheese, that I think is the best expression of the goat milk. Otherwise, we can make caciotta, like with the pecorino recipes. That the flavor is different, but the way of working is, again, more gently. What does it mean? Lower temperature when you add the rennet, for example, no? For the coagulation.
We have a friend walking up. How many different kinds of cheeses do you make?
Well, we have these two ways of making cheese. One is the Latticas type, and one is the Presamicas one. And then we have the aging process that can change dramatically the flavor of the cheese. So in this moment, we have around 5-6 different types of cheeses we make. So the super fresh one that 2 days ago it was milk, very creamy, very mild, very fresh, and something more aged that I normally make for the tasting. It's not really convenient to make, in my personal opinion, to make aged goat cheese to sell, but it is very interesting understanding the different flavor when you have a tasting. So
yeah, I remember we had a 1-year-old cheese. It was amazing. Yeah,
exactly.
So from the 15 goats, what's the cycle? How much milk do you get per day? Is that constant? Is it very periodical?
Well, the goats, they have a natural cycle of life. We try to respect as much as possible. So normally they get in heat at the end of the summer. They get pregnant, and at the end of October we stop to milk. So we give them 3 months for rest all the milk apparat, let's say, and focus the energy on the pregnancy. So they're going to give birth, and of course we have no milk, so we make no cheese. They give birth in February, and we decided to leave the babies under the mom. So for another couple of months, almost all the milk is going to feed the babies. And so then we start to produce again in spring. And we also have to think about that nowadays July and August become tremendously hot. So the animal normally start to produce a little bit less. This is another point we have to think about when we decided to start the business activities with the animals today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So normally they produce 3-4 liters of milk each, and we milk twice a day. And currently we milk by hand. In the past we were using the milking machine.
That sounds like a lot of work. So quality versus quantity, is that something that relates to your farm? I think it does. So you don't want to spinge it. You don't want to... now I can't think of the word in English.
Like push hard?
Yeah, you don't want to... So yeah, quality versus quantity. Is this something that relates to your farm also? I think so, because you just said that you wouldn't want to push for more milk. You want to follow the natural cycle. You would never compromise on that, right? It's part of the philosophy of you and Niccolò.
Well, yes, the point is not the quantity in itself. The only problem with the quantity is that you need other people working for you. Yeah. So of course you don't have under control in the same way as you are the same person taking care of the goats, milking, making cheese and selling the cheese. Yeah. But it's not about that. It's about that if you want to produce a big amount of milk today, you need technology. You need to be a bigger farm, so you need a bigger tractor, you need everything bigger. Then you need to sell your cheese and maybe you need to export. So it's mean more bureaucracy. And so at the end, you're not a farmer anymore. What I like about this type of life is that, first of all, it's changing every day because it depends on the season. It depends what you have to do outside. There are seasons like in the winter time where everything is resting or die and born again in spring, and we can definitely rest. And then there are other seasons like the spring one where you start to work very, very early in the morning and you finish only when the sun goes down. Oh. And I love to switch from the vegetable garden, taking care of my chicken and then milking my goats and make some cheese. I cannot think about myself spending 8 hours every day in the cheese laboratory and spend the rest of the day maybe, only milking or only spending time on the computer for selling my products. I like to be a farmer. I just need to find a way for be sustainable on an economical level. Yeah. And traditionally the farmer were having multiple activities because the main goal was producing food. Exactly. So this is something not so easy when you want to become a big reality. And probably you need a lot of money and a lot of land, something we don't have, especially in Chianti, no?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's quality of life, really. Mm-hmm. So you did woofing, and I know because I was here last month, and there was a wonderful lady from Mexico. So you take people in as woofers?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love this kind of, I love to share. I love that normally they can be both young people looking for experience, and I think it's an amazing way for traveling the world and get deeper into the local culture. Because at the end, the volunteer we have, they not only spend time with us, but also they sharing meal, they cook with us, and they start to learn some part of our language and so on. And sometimes there are also maybe other people who are looking a different way for living, and I try to understand, as I was doing, but just I did for a short amount of time, if this kind of life is sustainable at the end of or not. And I think we are a good example because I don't hide anything from my activity, neither the good things and the happy moment we spend or the hard one and the difficulties.
So if someone is listening to this and dreams of doing what you're doing, what would your best advice be to them?
If they're Italian.
If they're Italian or, yeah, I guess Italian, but
because it's different,
it is.
maybe.
It is. Yeah.
I would advise to spend times discovering all the realities around, because I think we can learn a lot from each other, and more experience we make and more skills we can, more new ideas we can have for our future dream, our future project. And also I think nowadays we should be more creative and trying to be in the same times traditional, but also something new. Because another point is that it's not only difficult on an economical level today, because we are in an economical system that smash down the small reality like mine. There is no space for a reality like mine, because what we are making here is nothing about economy. It's about biodiversity, it's about tradition and culture, it's about meeting people, it's about sometimes events or music and good food. And it's difficult to let our politicians understand how important it is, especially today. So we need to find a way for let this kind of new experience sustainable, even on an economical level, because we have to survive. So more experience we lived, and more good ideas we can use for start our project.
I love this. I love this. I love the project. I love you.
Thank you.
And I love your cheese. So talking about the cheese, how can people, after listening to all of this, taste your cheese?
For sure they can come and meet us. We sell part of our cheese. That is a small production in this moment. So unfortunately in this moment they have to come to visit our farm. I advise to call before coming, because in this moment I'm not only have to work in a vegetable garden, blah, 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 but also have a little baby. So it's not so easy to do everything. That's why there is a customer that is waiting in this moment. So I always advise to call before coming.
Yeah,
My phone number is on our website.
And I will link all of your social and website and whatnot on this episode below.
Thank you. And then if they want to try to make cheese with us, or if they want to come and just visit and spend a day in the countryside, we also offer some lunch and dinner on reservation. They can absolutely call and come and visit. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, you have customers lined up now, so I'll let you go. Thank you so much, Valentina, for being on the show and for sharing your story. Thank you.
Thank you. Grazie, Rebecca.
That's it for today's episode of Life is Grape in Tuscany. I hope Valentina's story left you inspired, grounded, and maybe even dreaming of goats in the morning mist. If you'd like to learn more about Podere Le Fornaci, taste their cheese, or follow their journey, check out the episode notes for links to their farm and social media. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone who loves the idea of living simply and richly, perhaps in the Tuscan countryside. Until next time, remember, life is grape, and sometimes it's also goats and cheese. Salute!